Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going on a literal treasure hunt. But we're not looking for pirate gold buried on some deserted island. Instead, we're hunting down your share of billions in unclaimed funds sitting in government and corporate accounts right this very second. You might think lost treasure is something strictly reserved for movies, but the reality is actually much closer to home. In fact, you might literally have a piece of it waiting for you right now, and you're just completely oblivious to the fact that there's a check with your name on it gathering dust.
Okay, let's dive right into this massive number, $4.49 billion. That is with a B. And that represents the staggering amount of unclaimed property returned to its rightful owners in just one recent fiscal year. I mean, that's enough to buy a professional sports team outright, or, more realistically for us, it's money that could pay off a whole lot of mortgages, erase student loans, or seriously fund a comfortable retirement. That is an enormous amount of wealth just sitting around in government holding accounts, totally forgotten by the people who rightfully owned it, until state offices stepped in and managed to track them down. And keep in mind, that's just the amount successfully returned in a single year. It's just a tiny fraction of what's still actually out there.
Now, think about this for a second. We all know someone who buys lottery tickets every single week, right? They're dreaming of a massive payout, chasing absolutely impossible odds. They spend their hard-earned cash just hoping for a miracle. Yet the odds of having unclaimed property are a highly probable 1 in 7. Statistically speaking, if you look around a room of 7 people, one of them has real money waiting to be claimed right now. It's a pretty striking contrast when you think about it. We routinely ignore a near guarantee to chase a total fantasy. You don't need a lucky ticket to get a payout today. You really just need to know exactly where to look.
And that brings us to a great point from Carmen Pigler, president of the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators. She says, the chance that you or someone you know having unclaimed property are 1 in 7, much better odds than winning the lottery. We aren't chasing ghosts today, folks. We are following solid data that leads to real financial assets. When high-level officials are practically begging people to come take their own money back, you know for sure this is a hunt worth your time. So think of this agenda as your personal treasure map. We're going to cover 1, the hidden billions. 2, unlocking the state vaults. 3, searching federal government funds. 4, finding lost life insurance. And 5, your action plan.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the hidden billions. What exactly is lost? The crucial thing to understand here is that this isn't just loose change found in your couch cushions. We are talking about major assets like unpaid life insurance benefits, forgotten bank accounts, unused rebate cards, unpaid wages and pensions, and even FHA mortgage refunds. I know, it sounds kind of crazy to just forget money, right? But imagine moving across the country and completely forgetting about a $100 utility deposit you put down 3 years ago. Or maybe a grandparent opened a small savings account for you when you were a baby, and the paperwork just got lost in a move. By law, when these institutions lose contact with you for a certain number of years, usually around 3 to 5, they can't just keep the cash. They're actually legally required to hand those assets over to the state government for safekeeping. Moving right along to Section 2, unlocking the state vaults, which is your very first stop. Now, when you start looking for this money, you might be a little skeptical, but you need to know this search is completely legitimate and government-backed. It's overseen by the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators, and they operate a totally free, ad-free search portal called missingmoney.com. Look, I get it. Punching your personal info into a random website can feel a bit risky, but this is the official, secure portal backed by state treasurers all across the country. You are dealing directly with official channels that literally have one single purpose: to safely and securely reunite you with your property. And honestly, the best part, it is incredibly simple. You just search your current name or a maiden name. 49 states participate, it's 100% free, and there are 0 ads. Hawaii is actually the only state currently absent from the main database, but don't worry, the site still points you exactly where to look for Hawaiian funds on their own local portal. It even goes beyond the U.S. borders, pulling in records from Puerto Rico and Alberta, Canada. You can literally scan almost the entire continent for free in just a few seconds. It is absolutely the most efficient first step you can take. All right, Section 3, searching federal government funds. Let's navigate the maze. So, unlike the states, the federal government doesn't just have one master vault for all this. It's definitely a bit of a maze. There isn't a magic website where you can just type in your name and find everything at once. You actually have to match the missing money to the specific agency. So, are you owed back wages from a former employer? You'll want to head to the Department of Labor. Did your company pension plan end or go under? Check the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. If you had an FHA mortgage, you're going to HUD.gov. What about those matured savings bonds that stopped earning interest years ago? For those, you use treasuryhunt.gov. And for tax refunds, well, that's the IRS. You really have to know exactly what kind of money you're looking for to know where to start digging in the federal landscape. Now, speaking of the IRS, if you are currently waiting on a tax refund, don't panic. A delay is not a denial. Sometimes it's just a simple missing signature or a quick math error, but often it's just built-in security. For example, by law, refunds on tax returns claiming the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit are automatically held until mid-February just to prevent fraud. Amended returns, those take extra time because human agents actually have to manually compare your old and new returns. Even injured spouse relief requests trigger a deeper manual review. Just knowing why there's a hold and that it's usually just standard protocol can save you a whole lot of unnecessary stress while you wait for that direct deposit to hit. Okay, I need to give you a very vital rule for our treasure hunt here. Beware of the tracers. You might occasionally get letters from third-party companies offering to recover your government funds, things like HUD and FHA refunds or state property, for a 10% or even 20% cut of the money. Don't do it. Seriously. The government explicitly warns that you never need to pay these fees. The search is 100% free, and the application processes through these government portals are entirely designed for you to use on your own without paying a single dime to a middleman. Keep all of your own treasure. You earned it. Which brings us to Section 4, Finding Lost Life Insurance and the Oblivious Beneficiary. There are billions of dollars sitting in absolute limbo right now because of a concept called the oblivious beneficiary. Basically, this is a person who is legally owed life insurance money but is completely unaware that their deceased loved one even held a policy in the first place. And it is an incredibly common, quite frankly, heartbreaking scenario. Think about it. A parent or spouse takes out a policy years ago to protect their family, totally forgets to mention it, and passes away. Because the insurance company isn't magically notified of the death, the money just sits there. The insurance companies truly do want to pay this out, but the whole system relies on proactive communication from the family, which often fails during times of profound grief. So how do we fix this? Start simple with a step-by-step action plan. First, just physically check the deceased's filing cabinets for old premium notices or maybe bank statements showing payments. If that's a dead end, jump over and search the NAUPA database at missingmoney.com to see if the insurer already turned the dormant account over to the state. Still nothing? Go ahead and reach out to former employers and unions for group workplace policies. And finally, as a last resort, if you strongly suspect a policy exists, you can pay a small fee to utilize the Medical Information Bureau for a dedicated database search of their records. It's a really clear escalation from free, simple steps all the way up to more involved paid searches. And finally, Section 5, Your Action Plan. It is time to claim your treasure. All right, here is your homework, and I promise you, it takes less than 5 minutes. First, run a super quick search on missingmoney.com. Next, use treasuryhunt.gov to check for any matured savings bonds. If you ever had an FHA mortgage in the past, go check HUD.gov. Do it for yourself, do it for your parents, do it for your grandparents. And crucially, organize your own estate paperwork today so your loved ones don't have to become treasure hunters tomorrow. Just make sure they know exactly where your policies and accounts are located. Remember, with 1 in 7 odds, someone in your immediate circle has money sitting in a vault right now, just waiting for them to claim it. So the only question left is, knowing there are literally billions waiting to be claimed, which vault are you going to search first? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy hunting.